All right, everybody, welcome back to the Titans table for three today. We got our guy Jordan Dajani here with us. We appreciate him coming on, being a guest today. That's my brother Andrew. I'm Christian. We're here to talk about everything involved with the head coaching search. One of the worst seasons in Titans history is finally over. Thank goodness. So now it's time to officially get into all of the off-season talk, starting with the head coach search. So we'll get into all that here in just a second.
2K.
CJ 2K.
What an effort by Chris Johnson.
Seven 1,000-yard season.
Do the Titans have a miracle left in them? Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Reaches it back to Wycheck. End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle.
We had a lot to do with our time because the Titans weren't good, so we made a new intro video. Shout out Eric.
Yeah, Titans fans, we appreciate y'all being here with us, especially after a long, tough season, man. Tighten up the like button, comment down below. Let us know anything that you'd like to add to the discussion. What head coaches are y'all looking at? Coordinators as well. Let us know who you'd like for hires as offensive and defensive coordinators, people you think might tag along with these head coaches and stuff. We also want to shout out CPN Network, Curtis Podcast Network. They got a show just about for every team in sports that you're looking for, or at least trying to get to that point. We in particular want to shout out the Unstable Colts podcast. Sorry, you guys, man. Y'all thought it was your year. Tough season for you boys, man. I think all of us thought it was the Colts early on. That Real Texans podcast, they got a chance this year, unfortunately, to go get a trophy. I swear to God, if these Texans or these Jaguars get a trophy before us, I'm going to lose my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Third and Teal. Shout out those boys, though, man. Just kidding, man. Go check them out as well. That's kind of our flagship show. You know, they're kind of leading the pack. And then, of course, this AFC South show as well, where everybody kind of gets together, discusses everything AFC South. So, yeah, do that for us and go kind of show all those guys some support as well. But, yeah, a lot to talk about, guys, with head coaching candidates. Some of them not so popular, some of them more popular. We've got a lot of coaches that have been head coaches before. A lot of guys maybe looking to get their second chance and stuff. But I guess I'll let Andrew kind of go and start kind of listing a couple names here. We'll kind of take turns spitting names at Jordan here and just kind of see what he thinks, man, and go from there, man. You want to kind of pick a name off the list there, Andrew, to start with?
Yeah, for sure. Once you get Jordan, thanks for joining us, man. I know you're busy, especially when the NFL playoffs are starting, because Jordan covers the whole NFL. He's not just a Titans guy, but luckily we got him here in Tennessee, so we try to pick his brain whenever we can.
Absolutely. We appreciate it very much.
It's always great jumping on with you guys. I appreciate the chance, man.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Titans are spreading a wide net, to say the least. I think they already have about 14 names scheduled and other names mentioned. But I'm going to start off with the one that most people are predicting becomes the Titans head coach. What's up, Devil Dog? Matt Nagy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so, you know, I did my weekly hit on 104.5 The Zone today, and they asked me if you had to predict right now who is going to be the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and I had to lean towards Matt Nagy. Mm-hmm. How do I feel about that possibility? Kind of 50-50, if not 60-40 in favor of Matt Nagy. I mean, we could spend 30 minutes on this guy because he is a retread, but I do feel like he is one of those retreads that absolutely deserves a second chance. And, you know, there was a point in his first season with Chicago, everyone was thinking, oh, wow, the Bears got something, right? And then quickly flamed out. Why did it flame out? Well, it was a combination of a lot of different factors. Of course, the quarterback play with Mitch Trubisky is going to be a big one. But I'm sure you guys have read all the deep dives in the interviews that people such as CBS Sports, Jonathan Jones, have conducted with Matt Nagy. He did that self-scouting process with the former reporter Laura Achman, I believe her name is. And he got all that feedback coming back to him. And listen, that sounds fine. It sounds like he's on the path to rebound and become a lead man in this league. But at the same time, there's been a lot of retreads in the history of the NFL. Just because someone has said they've learned something about themselves or what it takes to be that CEO of a team doesn't always mean it's going to be great the next time around. But with that being said, similar to Mike Borgonzi, this is someone who has seen a franchise be run the right way. And I do think that's worth something. He's someone who has worked with one of the best quarterbacks in the modern era, like Patrick Mahomes. And one of the big takeaways I'll give you with Matt Nagy is that he wants to have that CEO role where he's not too into play calling. He's going to be able to delegate those different services. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Well, it could be a bad thing if he doesn't pick the right staff around him, which is going to be incredibly important. So I look at Matt Nagy as definitely one of those guys who is worth a second chance. And given the history with him and Mike Borgonzi, two guys that have helped each other do interviews for the GM process, for the head coaching process, that's why a lot of people are saying that this is a likely match.
Yeah,
it seems to have the highest. Go ahead.
I'm not as low on Matt Nagy as a lot of times, because you see a lot of times I'm like, no, absolutely not. I thought he did pretty well in Chicago for what he had there. I mean, went to the playoffs with Trubisky. You can only do so much there. So I'm not as there are some names that I probably like a little bit more, but I would not be mad at a Matt Nagy hire at all.
I think he's not the sexy name, man. You have a couple of names that are coming out as well. Like there's a name or two we're kind of waiting to finish in the playoffs as well, right? There's a couple of names that are like the big sexy names, and he's just not. He doesn't come off as one of those. Is all I think. I think that's where that comes from. But I agree. He's one of the guys I have on the list. There's guys I have listed that I think deserve a second chance, and then some I'm not so sure, or at least guys that I feel better about giving a second chance to than others. And he's one of the guys that I lean more towards granting a second chance and feeling more comfortable about that. Some people question his leadership abilities, but I don't have a question about that really. But yeah, I lean more towards the positive side of Matt Nagy than some of the detractors, I'd say.
And I will say this too, like you brought up the term sexy names. Like with the Titans coaching search specifically, it feels really important, right? Like you got to get the dude in the building who's going to get this franchise on the right track at least. And when we're talking about something like that, it's probably someone who has been in this chair before. And a lot of the retreads are not going to be quote unquote sexy names. And I don't even know what the sexy names in the cycle are. Is it Kubiak? Is it Jesse Minter? These are coaches who definitely have a lot of potential, but they've never been head coaches before. So this cycle is so much different compared to last year's cycle. So you're right. It's not as sexy. It'd be great to land someone like John Harbaugh. I'm sure we'll jump into that a little bit later.
That's the one, obviously, that everybody's kind of thinking about. Yeah. Everybody's watching that Steelers game this weekend, too.
Yeah. But in terms of like the sexiness name value, that's okay that there's not a lot of, sexiness name value with this list of names. That's okay.
Absolutely.
It's more about getting someone in the building who can get this franchise on the right track, because there's no doubt it's been derailed.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to branch off that. So I'm going to go with one that's kind of similar to that, but I find him, I like this guy, I think, more than other people do. And he's another guy that's getting a second chance. Another guy I think maybe deserves a second chance. You can tell me what you think. And this one also, I think, brings, you could possibly, Robert Saleh is the name. And, he's got connections to a guy like Mike McDaniel, who I'm out on. But I will certainly take a Mike McDaniel as a coordinator for sure. So if we could get like a combo of a Robert Saleh and McDaniel coordinator combo, I'm in for that, because I think he's a guy, like I said, that I really am high on as far as the second chance guys. I liked him when he was with New York. I know it was a tough time there. I think his record was 20-30 something, 35-36, something like that. So what do you think about a Robert Saleh?
If you can guarantee me Robert Saleh head coach, Mike McDaniel OC, then I take back everything I said about there's no sexiness name value. Like that's
great for me right now, I think.
I'm super intrigued by that package if that came to fruition. Absolutely. With Robert Saleh, I think he is regarded as one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. And I think that this year has really shown that because he's working with a lot of backups, a lot of rookies, a lot of young players. And that 49ers defense is not elite by any means, but at the same time, they reached double-digit wins and they reached the postseason, almost had that inside track to the Super Bowl as well, if it weren't for this past Saturday night. I do like Robert Saleh, but, man, let me tell you, there were a couple things that he did in New York that rubbed me the wrong way. Namely and specifically was the quarterback position. I thought I hate being this negative on people, but I thought Zach Wilson was one of the worst quarterbacks I've seen in quite some time. And that dude was given a longer leash than some bad quarterbacks we've seen in recent NFL history. And even the benching process of him was dramatic. When they got Aaron Rodgers into the building after the fact, they didn't get another backup for Aaron Rodgers. They thought Zach Wilson was going to be the 2. He's going to learn under Aaron Rodgers, hopefully become our prospective franchise, face of the future, whatever it is. But then Aaron Rodgers goes down with an injury. And that was when the NFL world said, okay, well, who are the Jets going to sign? They didn't sign anybody. They ran with Zach Wilson, and they got zero results from that. Those are moments like that when the head coach has to step in. And going back even before they signed Aaron Rodgers, there was a lot of drama with it was snip, snap, snip, snap. Zach Wilson's benched out of the lineup or putting Mike White, Trevor Siemian, whoever it was due to injury into the lineup. There was a lot of drama with that. It didn't seem like Robert Saleh had a lot of control of that situation. And there are a lot of people outside the building watching that saying, this is absolutely nuts. So I put a little bit of that blame on Robert Saleh. I'm not going to hold it against him forever. I think he absolutely is worth a second look. But that was one of the cons to his rap sheet, if you will, that I will place on him. So I think he's a great defensive mind. That Jets defense was fantastic during his interim in New York. But, man, the other part about this is, again, any guy we're talking about, it's all about the staff you surround yourself with. And I think Robert Saleh did a poor job with the offensive staff he had around him in New York, which led to his ousting eventually.
So I have a few things that I want to add on, or So first of all, that defense in New York was amazing. Literally the week he got fired, they turned to crap and never looked back and haven't been good since the week he got fired. It's crazy. To speak on his defense this year, though, the fact what he's done with the amount of injuries they've had in San Francisco is really what shines for me. But I agree. I put a lot of that on Woody Johnson, though. I feel like he didn't really give, and I kind of feel like the offensive staff was kind of picked for him too a little bit. But that's what I think. If he can, you said, if you could tell me for sure that Mike McDaniel's coming with him, that would be to me the dream scenario right there with Saleh. But we'll get to dream scenarios later. But if you could tell me Saleh and Mike McDaniel is a package deal coming here, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Absolutely.
I'm going to throw anybody else. Got anything else on Saleh, Christian?
No, you go ahead. We'll just take turns throwing names, man. You go ahead and throw your next one. We probably have the same list. So
this is one probably people didn't expect, but Spagnuolo.
Steve Spagnuolo, legend, defensive legend, no doubt about it. Where the Titans are sitting right now, I feel
These
like
guys,
that would be some.
Christian is over here, and this is Jordan Dajani from CBS Sports. Sorry about that.
I feel like that would be kind of a surprising hire. It's not someone I have a lot of notes on, just because I would be absolutely shocked if he was going to be named the head coach. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Yeah, he's a great defensive mind.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. But he is an older gentleman, and I wonder if that's. If the Titans are looking for someone that could be a, let's call it, quote unquote, bridge hire, is he going to be in the conversation along the lines of someone who might be more attractive, namely Mike McCarthy, for example? Maybe that's the route they go. But in my opinion, I thought that interview request was just a little bit surprising.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, like I said, he's one of those guys where you're like, he's older too. He just always seemed like a better coordinator than the head coach.
Yeah, 100%.
He had his chance, and he was what it was. So,
and that's what I actually. That's funny you said that, because that's actually the note I have here next to him. Is just some guys are just coordinators. That's exactly the note I have here, and that's how I feel, I guess, about a guy like that. You said it. He's an older guy. When I think Spagnuolo, man, I think of that run as the head coach for the Rams, man, as a disaster. It didn't go very well. He's one of the guys I have out as a second chance, man. I don't, I'm not in on the Spagnuolo, and I don't know. I'd be surprised to see him as a head coach, honestly, in any of these jobs, to be honest
I don't
with
know.
you.
There's like maybe it's like a favor from Borgonzi because they go back. I don't know. But yeah, I
Hey,
agree.
who knows, man? These guys might go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, not – I don't know how to put this. Like, every coaching interview is – I don't know if it's, like, as serious as, like, hey, you might be in our top 3 if we're thinking about hiring you kind of thing. Like, these coaching interviews are epic opportunities when it comes to tossing around different ideas, like what you've learned over the past few years in your role as defensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs or whatever it may be, touching base when it comes to the connections of other guys we're interested in, such as like a Matt Nagy. Like, there's a lot of different things that go into these interviews. And Steve Spagnuolo is like one of the more respected minds in the NFL as well. So while I said I'm a little surprised, like I'm going to be surprised by names for every single team, every single cycle. But there's a lot of different purpose and reasons for these interviews.
Well, yeah, just
absolutely.
I want to, before we get to the next name, Christian, sorry, I want to bring this comment up because I was wondering this too. If the Steelers will go out and just get railroaded by the Texans, is there a chance Mike Tomlin's out?
Yeah, there is, but it's not going to be a firing. It'll be Mike Tomlin walking away. It'll be a Mike Tomlin walking away to do TV or something. Like if
a year off and come back.
Maybe not even come back. Like seriously, like it might be a thing. Like he wants to go do something else. That's something that I've been thinking about for quite some time now. It's not going to look like a Harbaugh thing. It's not going to be a firing. It won't even be a mutually parting of ways. If Tomlin's leaving, it means he's walking away to do the TV circuit or to be an analyst for someone else. That's the way I view that situation. And yes, you're right to bring that up because it's something I think is possible.
Gosh, I was looking at some interesting stuff on go ahead, Andrew.
History of that team, that one of the most historical teams and 3 coaches in their history is just wild.
Man, I'll just say go listen. God, what is the fella that's on Second Chance U or whatever it's called? Y'all know the show I'm talking about with all the guys there.
I don't really watch it.
He had some he had some direct like I saw him today on an interview and he had some spoke like he had some direct knowledge on the Harbaugh Lamar Jackson situation. Man, it's a lot crazier than it sounds, man. That is crazy. It almost sounds. I'm going to get into it too deep because like I'm a Lamar fan. I'm not one of these people that craps on Lamar every chance I get, but it almost sounds like he threw him under the bus, man.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, since you're like clearly a fan, like, what do you think happened there? Because there was clearly some kind of disconnect with either Harbaugh or Todd Monken, or let's call it the organization at large that led to this decision being made. So, like, what do you think happened?
Well, from what I heard briefly here, I kind of was listening on the periphery as I was making my notes, and apparently it seemed like Harbaugh was back. I think they had spoken and that he was going to be brought back, and this is what the fellow he says this happened, okay, and he saw Lamar that day or the next day at the facilities, and this is Harbaugh. I say he meaning Harbaugh, and he said to Lamar something to the extent of I'm back, are you good with that, or is that good with you? Or he said yeah, and then apparently the word was that Lamar went to management, said he didn't want Harbaugh back.
Oh, yeah.
That's the gist of what I got from the story.
That would definitely be hard to believe. Like if you told me there was a disconnect, absolutely. And I can tell you that it seems that Harbaugh was pretty confident that he was going to be back, similar to Daniel, for example. But I mean, that is obviously just the shock of the NFL world right now for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
Think about it. Harbaugh becomes automatically the most attractive head coaching candidate on the carousel. And the Ravens, on the flip side, become the most attractive job that's open as well. Yep. So there was something that led to this. I mean, you can lack of postseason success. What is he only had like 4 playoff wins in the past 12 years or something ridiculous? Like, and then on top of that, Lamar Jackson, is he reaching his ceiling? I saw this reporting from Ian Rappaport, actually. They want to bring in someone who can like reinvigorate Lamar Jackson. Someone who's going to motivate because that was all the talk on the year. Like, what's wrong with Lamar? People in the building apparently were saying that as well. So keep an eye like on who they hire because a lot of pressure is going to be on that guy, not only to maintain the success of the Ravens franchise, but get the most out of Lamar Jackson as well.
Do you think some of these players, a random general question, Do you think some of these players today are a little bit softer mentally, maybe, than they were 30 years ago?
Yeah,
Because that's some of the stuff that comes out about Lamar is like there's head knocking sometimes because of the kind of tough nosed style coaching that's over there in Baltimore.
So yeah, you put it soft. What do you say? Soft mentally? Is that the way you put it?
Yeah. I did. Yeah, for lack of a better way to put it. Yeah.
Right, because I don't know how to put it either. But there's a generational difference. Like there's a generational difference between this has happened the entire time of the NFL's existence, and I've heard older coaches and older journalists talk about this as well, just the way they interact with players. There's a big difference with that. So especially with the stars of today's NFL, like they're getting more exposure than Dan Marino or someone else ever did back in the day. You know what I mean? It's very different. So I don't know. Like I'm not gonna. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm not gonna accuse like Lamar Jackson, for example, at face value of being like super soft or something. But I do think there is credence to all those reports saying there was something off with him, and we couldn't figure it out. Yeah, he might be dealing with an injury, but there's also maybe something mentally going on, and that leads down the rabbit hole of like we need to get somebody else in here. We've had a great run with a franchise legend, but we got to have someone come in and reinvigorate this guy to reach his ceiling because he can be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm hearing that they even like had to that he had Wednesdays off, just because it wasn't even like
he did. But I mean, he was dealing with injuries too. So like,
sure. Like that's why I'm trying to be careful, man, because I don't want to call him soft either, man. Like, who am I to call an NFL quarterback of his stature soft? That's not, But I think you get where I was going. I've got another name. If you're cool with me moving on, Andrew, to this next one.
Yeah, I just want one thing. From what I understand, it was more Harbaugh's reluctancy to fire Monken is what really let him go. Or like Lamar maybe didn't have the best relationship with Monken.
Okay.
And Harbaugh wasn't going to let Monken go, so they were like, all right, then you can go. Kind of like similar to Vrabel here when he wouldn't fire his guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think there was something to that. I mean, we talked about like hypothetically there might have been a disconnect, not with Harbaugh and Lamar, but with the offensive coordinator Todd Monken too.
Yeah.
So you might be right about that.
I may have slipped the detail. Like I said, I was listening to that in the periphery. That may have been a slight detail I missed. He may have been talking about Monken and keeping him and how he felt about that. You know what I mean? And then it was just a whole situation. Like I said, I was kind of listening on the periphery. So maybe it's irresponsible for me to even talk about it, maybe. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Because
Speculation.
No, I mean, I didn't, I didn't put anything out there that,
That's the name of the podcast. That's the name of the podcast, right? Reckless Speculation?
Oh, gosh. No, it's, I don't even remember who I was listening to it on. I have to look. It was someone way bigger than any of us, that's for sure.
Well, not me and you.
No, who was it? I can't even remember now. Lou Anarumo was the name I was going with because we were kind of we were talking about Spagnuolo. It's another guy that's aged a little bit there, but also it'd be a really old rookie head coach as well. I think that's one of the main reasons I'm kind of out. DC for ND, man. What do you think about a guy like that? Kind of years he's had, especially this season.
Seemed like he was doing a pretty good job with the defense at the early parts of the season. Lost a couple of important pieces to injury, namely to Forrest Buckner and then Sauce Gardner quickly after he was acquired at the trade deadline. I put him in the same camp as kind of Steve Spagnuolo, even though Steve has been a head coach, obviously. There's a lot more names on the Titans interview request list that I would probably be more intrigued by than Lou Anarumo.
I think we all agree.
Yeah, like he deserves credit because he was kind of the scapegoat in Cincinnati last year when he ended up getting fired. Wasn't his fault. Goes to the Colts, and it seemed like he was doing a good job for the majority of the season. And that's the reason he's going to get an interview request. But, yeah, I don't know what the odds are on him actually landing the full-time job.
Absolutely, I agree.
So, like you said, one guy, there's out of all these guys that have interviews scheduled, he's one of three that has not had head coaching experience. You can tell they're definitely really looking at guys who have that experience. But I'm going to name it someone else who doesn't, but he's actually pretty high on he's in my top 5, Chris Shula. I like Chris Shula a lot.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like Chris. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I like Chris Shula a lot because what he's done with that Rams defense. Like, they have a lot of talent. There's no doubt about it. But what he's done schematically to make up for maybe some of the deficiencies on the back end has really stood out as well. And the Rams wouldn't find themselves where they do now without Chris Shula and without that defense. So he is definitely one of those first-year guys that you're going to keep an eye on. And I'll bring this up with basically any first-year guy who has never been in that chair before. But you want to be 1,000,000% sold on him as a leader. Like, is he going to be able to put himself in that CEO type of role? And trust me, there's a lot of guys who have, infectious personalities when you talk to them, where you have no doubt about it. I just don't know anything about him from, a personal standpoint. So that is someone who, in my mind, like, walking into this process, I feel like he should be on the radars of most teams that are looking for a new head coach. So it'll be interesting to see how he interviews and how he's regarded by those teams that are trying to find new lead men.
Yeah, Shula for me, he kind of like when I hear, obviously I don't know the guy, I'm not in the building, but he reminds me of like the defensive version of McVay. Like the way he talks about the game, he's kind of like nerds out on it, and like the way he just like he reminds me of McVay, the way he speaks, and like for someone like that, the most important hire is obviously going to be the offensive coordinator who's going to be working with Cam, and Nate Shihas, am I saying that right? The passing game coordinator and QB coach there. That would be an interesting.
I forget how to say it.
It's really long. Shihas house, but you know what I'm talking about.
Hey, I'll be careful. It's a family show, all right?
He seems like maybe the guy that he would bring with him to be his offensive coordinator. I know McVay speaks really highly of him as well. So,
I'll tell you why. I don't know much about him either, but I'll tell you why I like him, because he comes from that Sean McVay system, man. I mean, I know about what he's done with that defense over there, and that's about it. I think he's probably one of the guys I'm higher on as far as rookie guys that have never done it before.
And so here's a big difference. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead. No, I'm just reiterating what I said there already, but go ahead.
No, there's a big difference between Chris Shula versus like Liam Cohen, Raheem Morris, Kevin O'Connell, all these guys that have worked with McVay. The big difference with Shula is that he came up with McVay completely. Like, he didn't go anywhere else. 2017, assistant linebackers coach with the Rams. 2019, outside linebackers coach. 2021, linebackers coach. 2022, pass game coordinator, defensive backs coach with the Rams. 2023, pass rush coordinator, linebackers coach. 2024, defensive coordinator.
Yep.
So he was born and bred under McVay. And
all three levels of the defense too.
That is good, but like I wonder if some people could look at that as kind of a con on the list as well. You know what I mean? Because someone like a Liam Cohen has ventured off. He was an offensive coordinator at Kentucky, worked with Will Levis, all these different things. Raheem Morris had a lot of different stops as well. Chris Shula's different in that aspect. He grew up under the Rams and under McVay. So him leaving for the most important job you can have in the NFL would be a serious jump. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And then that's, I actually learned all that kind of recently when looking kind of researching some of these guys that were lesser known to me. Once I found out that he's kind of been under McVay for all these years, I was like, oh, that's a great candidate as far as rookies go. I mean, I love anybody that comes out of the McVay system, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big Sean McVay fan, man. I can't stand the Rams. My friend is their favorite team, but
Sean McVay
all about
leadership qualities, because McVay, being the little guy that he is, you can tell that team respects him. So
sure.
Yeah, McVay was one of those he was one of those young offensive minds. Like, when he stepped in day one, when he was like 12 years old or whatever, when the Rams hired him, like, he immediately from the jump, like, was respected. You know what I mean? Like, he made a really big point of emphasis to get the respect of the locker room. Like, he just did everything the right way. And for a lot of people, that's kind of a tough thing. I wonder if someone like Mike McDaniel, like with the Miami Dolphins, like, was he someone who had always had the respect of the locker room, or was he just like a complete players coach? How many of those, Vrabel tendencies where you could give harsh love to the players did someone like a Mike McDaniel or Chris Shula have?
Absolutely. And I guess I'll keep it on the defensive side. And I'm going to go with Vance Joseph here, man. Defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, actually former head coach as well. I have down here 11-21 was his record as a head coach. He's not my first pick off the list, but I wouldn't be completely disappointed if he was the hire, as I would with some of these other names. Like if Jason Garrett was the hire, I'm not going to be as disappointed as I would be with that. But you could talk me into being okay with Vance Joseph. But what are your thoughts on a guy like him, former Denver head coach, now Denver coordinator?
Not to diss the dude too hard, but I think he really struggled in being a lead man with situational football, with timeout usage, with all the things that you need from a CEO for your team. I thought he really struggled with that. So when we're talking about guys who are really good coordinators, that's Vance Joseph. I would not be very happy. I feel like if the Titans win and hired Vance Joseph. I mean, maybe he learned a lot from that first stint with the Denver Broncos, but I mean, even his tenure as defensive coordinator with Denver was a bit tumultuous. Like it took some time to build up to having a top 3 defense. I know a lot of Broncos fans. I got family in Denver that they wanted Vance Joseph fired early during the stages of his second stint as defensive coordinator in Denver. So I feel like he's probably a bit lower on my list.
Yeah, I agree. He's mid to low on mine.
Some of those time management blunders he had when he was out there was just horrendous. You're talking about if your blunder's bad enough to where it's front page news of every sports show, it's bad.
Yeah.
I think he falls into that category as just better at being a coordinator, man. Just you and Spagnuolo.
Sure.
And he's a great defensive coordinator. Like I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators. But obviously, there's a major difference between being a head coach of a team, calling all the shots, versus putting together an elite defensive scheme.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with someone else who just got fired. Seems to have a lot of respect around the league. Kevin Stefanski.
Oh man, I was listening to a lot of the shows on 104.5 The Zone this week, and I even brought this up during my interview because Zach Lyons brought it up to me saying, like, Kevin Stefanski, how do you feel about him? And I told him, I did not realize that he was public enemy number 1 of every show on your station. Like, you guys would rather have what I said, which I thought was really funny. I said, you guys would rather have a coaching staff comprised of Nathaniel Hackett, Jeremy Pruitt, and whoever else for the offensive coordinator than have Kevin Stefanski as your head coach. And I mean, I kind of took offense to that because, like, Stefanski may not be my number 1. He might be close to it. He might be in my top 3.
He's up.
Like,
yeah.
Like, because, dude, the Browns organization is not a good one. We all understand.
Exactly.
And Kevin Stefanski was in an arranged marriage with Deshaun Watson. It was absolutely horrific.
That was the worst thing they ever did to that man, dude. That was the disaster, dude.
And when he gets hurt and he has Joe Flacco step in from him, he goes, 11-6 and goes to the playoffs and wins the year. And we're going to hold that against Kevin Stefanski for some reason. I think he had 2 11-win seasons, won Coach of the Year twice with the Browns. So even at the end of the Deshaun Watson days, who's the first quarterback you draft? Dylan Gabriel, the 5'5" who can't throw the ball down the field, and he's situated in with him as opposed to Shedeur Sanders, who actually has some kind of potential. Like, everything was working against Kevin Stefanski. And I stole this from Dan Patrick. He said this on his show. What was it, last week, and said that the Browns did Kevin Stefanski a favor by firing him because now he's going to be able to go to a more accommodating franchise that is going to be easier to work with, where he can show the kind of offensive mind that he is. So I think Stefanski is absolutely held in high regard by all the teams looking for a brand new head coach. Maybe there's some concerns when it comes to how do you develop a quarterback when it comes to your scheme and fitting a quarterback scheme? How much do you really maneuver that fine dance of trying to figure out what's best for your young signal caller? That's fair. Maybe a leadership questions from that perspective is fair. But Kevin Stefanski, if he were hired by the Tennessee Titans, I think that would be a really good hire.
He's one of the higher guys on my list, to be honest with you, man. Two-time coach of the year, taking the Browns, a crap organization, man, with all due respect, with Baker and Flacco. The Deshaun Watson, you touched on it. It's a horribly run organization, man. Maybe one of the worst organizations run in sports, man. I mean, it's terrible. Yeah, it's awful, man. I mean, we're not too much better, but we're better than the Browns, dude. And but no, I mean, the Deshaun Watson thing was a debacle. He got handed a freaking circus show this year with the way that they drafted and everything. I mean, I don't know. That's all weird stuff too. Like you can't figure out who was in on what draft pick, who made the call on what, with all of the smoke screens going on with that too. So he's just been handed a lot of crap while he's been there, and he's a two-time coach of the year. You could say one time that's maybe like an accident or something, but twice, man, like that's Give me Stefanski, dude. I'll be happy to have a Kevin Stefanski around here.
Me too, and like I'll say this too, like Aditi Kinkabwala, who I work with at CBS, went on the morning show on 104.5, and they were asking her about Kevin Stefanski, and she was like defending him voraciously. Like, such a nice guy to work with. And, there was all these rumors going on about, how Shedeur Sanders was, treated and talked about and developed, because obviously he's one of the biggest names in the NFL, even though he's a rookie and hasn't done very much, being the son of Deion Sanders. And Aditi said that I think Shedeur Sanders was the most coached and developed one-on-one quarterback there ever was that was drafted in the 5th round. Like Kevin Stefanski went out of his way after practice to get reps in with Shedeur Sanders, because obviously the kind of potential that he has. So,
Absolutely.
Stefanski went out of his way to do a lot of different things. And one more thing I'll say about him is that since I learned all this stuff from 104.5 The Zone, then really disliking Stefanski, I went back and read some of the press releases when Stefanski won Coach of the Year 2 times. And I was reading the quotes from the owner and the GM of the Browns. And every time they were talking about hey, we had everything go wrong for us this year. All these injuries across the board. We stink as a football team. But thank God we had Kevin Stefanski as the stable hand for our organization who got the most out of all these players. It's hard for me to imagine not wanting to give that guy a second chance, especially in an environment or with the franchise that can be more accommodating to him than the Cleveland Browns were.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree, man. I guess then I'm going to go with the name that's – did you have something else to say, Andrew?
Well, before we go to the next name,
go ahead.
Jordan, do you think the Texas DC Matt Burke is all that good, or do you think that is because of D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio?
I would definitely lean more toward D'Amico Ryans, but I don't know too much about him, to be honest with you, so I'm not 100% sure.
D'Amico calls the plays, right?
I'm not even 100% sure about
Devil
that.
Dog would be no for sure, but I'm like 90% sure D'Amico calls those plays. I mean, I'm sure Matt Burke, he has plenty of hands in there, as they all do.
Sure.
It's not never a one-man job, but I'm pretty sure D'Amico calls the plays.
And if you're the defensive coordinator for the number 1 defense in the NFL, that's borderline historical. Obviously, you should be a candidate that's being talked about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we brought up Stefanski. It's a guy I'm pretty high on. I'm going to give you a guy on the other end of the spectrum for me, personally, is Atlanta defensive coordinator Raheem Morris.
Third try. This is one of the
it's a lot of talent you had over there and underperformed with a lot of talent, dude. Maybe as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I would definitely take him as a DC. And when we talk about an up and down tenure, that's what 2025 was for Raheem Morris, because at one point through the halfway point of the year, he had the number one pass defense in the NFL, no fly zone, until Bryce Young showed up and threw for 500 yards for some reason.
Future NFL Hall of Famer.
He had James Pierce Jr. had double-digit sacks as a rookie.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about. But I mean, there's no doubt that team kind of fell down towards the midway point of the year, and then they're able to rebound with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. So I thought that he was probably worth giving another year with Atlanta, but I'm definitely firing the manager Terry Fontenot, because he gave away your first-round pick for 2 first-round edge rushers. You're not going to be able to rebuild when you have a quarterback coming off a torn ACL. No doubt about that. Terry Fontenot, get out of the building. But in terms of the head coach, I thought he probably deserved another chance. But when we talk about firing general managers and head coaches, a lot of teams and franchises that are smart want to keep them on the same timeline. So you don't want to go try to hire a GM who has to take over for a lame duck head coach. So you understand why Atlanta kind of set over the timelines there. But to your point, you don't see a lot of head coaches that do well on their third try, right? These third chance retreads are not very common. So he's someone who I would want to talk to as a defensive mind, but he would be lower on my list in terms of head coaching candidates.
Yeah, that really feels like what that was. Is like, hey, would you be interested in coming here as a DC with the right head coach?
It might be, totally.
So it kind of feels like what they did with like Matt LaFleur, whenever he came with Vrabel kind of vibes. Let me see here. I'm gonna give you another one in my top 5, and not an NFL head coach, but head coach of Boston College, Jeff Hafley. I really like when he talks. The few things that really stuck out to me is he really seems like he knows how to adjust. He had a defense going in, and like the week before the season, all of a sudden he has Micah Parsons, so he has to move some pieces around. No more Kenny Clark. You have Micah Parsons. Parsons get hurt, and they've been solid all year. And I love this is what this NFL has become today, is where he speaks and he says, I'm not trying to tell my players to fit my scheme. I'm fitting my scheme to what my players do good. I need more coaches to say that. Do that. So he just seems he's really good at adjustments. He seems to have a level head. Players respect him. He's in my top 5 for sure.
Dude, he has a ton of love behind the scenes. Like in terms of this coaching carousel, I think a lot of people absolutely love Jeff Hafley. What I will say is like something that's hard for me to get around is hiring coordinators when their specific units are not performing well. And listen, there's a lot of people who have done that. Remember Mike Vrabel when he was working with the Texans? That defense was like bottom 2 in the league, but he was a great head coach for the Tennessee Titans. The Packers' defense, of course, is not bottom 2 in the league, but I think they've left a lot to be desired. I mean, they're the 4th team in NFL history to be entering the playoffs on a losing streak of 4 games. And they haven't won a game since Micah Parsons tore his ACL. They've registered an NFL low 3 sacks during this 4-game win streak as well, so they're not getting pressure. Jeff Hafley has a lot of really good experience, including as head coach of Boston College, as you mentioned. And again, I feel like he's someone who is getting a ton of love behind the scenes, but it seems like everyone is kind of higher on him than I am. With that being said, if he were to be hired as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, I still would be optimistic. I think there are just probably a couple of other candidates that I might be higher on.
Yeah. This is just me thinking because we're talking about the Packers. There's not a lot of talk if the Packers were to go and get blown out by Chicago that LaFleur could be let go.
Yeah.
That would be a pretty hot candidate right away, I feel like.
But what do you think of his relationship is with the Titans? Like, do you think it's a positive one or a negative one? Because
it's hard because he's only here for a year.
Right.
I mean, we brought him in to do exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to get out from McVay to called plays for a year and got his head. That's what he wanted. He knew he needed to call plays to get the head coaching job, I feel like.
Yeah, he looked at us as a stopgap, a necessary stopgap.
I'm not sure if there's much relationship there at all, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's different. I think a head coaching job is a little different. I mean, I don't know. I'm not aware of any animus that's maybe hanging out there or not. Wouldn't surprise me. But
not much still here from his time here either.
John Eric Sullivan, he just got hired by the Miami Dolphins.
All that,
today.
yeah.
So if LaFleur is fired by Green Bay, the Miami Dolphins all of a sudden make a very natural landing spot as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
A natural transition because we're talking about the Dolphins now. The Mike McDaniel, we can talk about him. And how much do you feel like Harbaugh led to that firing? And then how would you feel like McDaniel being a head coach right away again?
So the Dolphins say it had nothing to do with that. But at the same time, Mike McDaniel wasn't fired on Black Monday. Right?
We hate you too, Devil Dog.
He wasn't even fired on Black Tuesday.
Or Wednesday. It was Thursday. It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just
that's the latest hire I've ever seen, I think.
All the black days he was not fired, okay?
It was very Thursday.
Yeah, Black Thursday. So everyone assumed that he was the head coach moving forward. And what changed? Well, the reporters try to tell you that he had this final exit interview or conversation, whatever it may be, with owner Stephen Ross, and Stephen Ross left all of a sudden changing his mind on a very important decision. That doesn't make sense to me. That's not logical.
Yeah.
The only thing that happened that was a major domino to fall in the NFL during those 3 days was John Harbaugh being fired.
Mm-hmm.
So I absolutely think that had part to do with it. And here's the thing, like, obviously the Dolphins don't fire Mike McDaniel and imagine they have John Harbaugh locked in. It doesn't work that way, but they did it for a chance at the John Harbaugh sweepstakes. Now, our theory kind of takes a hit with them hiring John Eric Sullivan as opposed to, what was the guy's name? Chad Alexander, who has worked with Harbaugh before. Everyone thought that was going to be the next domino to fall. That didn't come to fruition. But I'm still not taking the Dolphins off, the Harbaugh carousel, if you will. In terms of Mike McDaniel landing a head coaching job immediately again, I think it's possible. I think the best bet is probably him being an offensive coordinator, but he's going to interview with the Tennessee Titans. I would imagine he interviews with the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if that's official yet. So he's going to have his chances. But, man, if he's not hired to be a head coach, he is going to be the most in-demand offensive coordinator we've seen in modern history. That's literally the way I feel about it now. So I was shocked to see the Washington Commanders promote David Blau. Did you guys see that earlier?
Yeah, right before that, I thought maybe a few hours before that, I saw that they were like they're going to reach out to Mike McDaniel about being offensive coordinator.
I thought the Washington Commanders would have been favored to land him as an OC because he has a very close relationship with Dan Quinn, who, by the way, is on the hot seat entering 2026. So that promotion of David Blau is like make or break. Either David is going to be a wonderkind and an absolute stud and save Jaden Daniels, or Dan Quinn is going to be a defensive coordinator for some team in 2027. A massive decision in Washington. But for Mike McDaniel, I got to be honest, like, I'm very partial to him. Like, I'm biased. Like, I love
He's
Mike
smart,
McDaniel.
Dude. He knows ball.
He is actually like one of these generational offensive minds, especially when it comes to scheming up the run. No one in the NFL does it better. He was able to get the most out of Tua Tagovailoa, who led a #1 offense a couple years ago, get Tua that massive contract. And I would love to see what he could do with, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, Cam Ward as well. So
absolutely.
I don't know if it's a guaranteed thing like that all of the Titans fan base would love it. But personally, I would be really excited if Mike McDaniel was coming to Tennessee as a lead man.
If you want to see somebody who can actually unlock that potential that Tyjae Spears has just been leaking, it would be Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
I want to just because Stephen Ross is known to be somebody who mingles where he shouldn't be mingling. He's been fined for mingling where he shouldn't be mingling. So there's no doubt in my mind that he reached out to somebody right there. I hate to step in front of you again, natural transition again with Cliff Kingsbury, if that's okay.
That's where I was going, but yeah, go ahead, man.
Perfect.
Oh, man. Dude, Cliff Kingsbury is a really tough case because I look at him as a really good offensive mind that flames out very quickly. We saw that with the Arizona Cardinals, where he wasn't able to maintain success. We saw that with Washington to a degree. Naturally, when Jaden Daniels goes down with multiple injuries and he's not available for even half the year, you're going to have a losing season.
But, a lot of the struggles in Washington aren't his fault, in my opinion, man.
And I will say this, like in the few games that Jaden Daniels did play, he did not look like the Jaden Daniels reigning offensive rookie of the year. That was the best signal caller we've ever seen. And maybe I'm biased towards that because entering this year, I said that. I was like, Cliff Kingsbury, he's able to put together an epic offensive scheme, but maybe he leaves it a little bit too long. He doesn't adjust. Like, for comparison, Sean McVay, who a lot of people regard as the best head coach in the NFL right now, that dude adjusts constantly with his pre-snap looks, with what he does with wide receivers and tight ends, when he's leaning on the run versus leaning on the pass. Sean McVay switches up everything in his playbook to keep defenses on edge. I don't know if we saw that from Cliff Kingsbury, and that's why it kind of gives me pause when we talk about him as a head coaching candidate, but even as an offensive coordinator as well. So people said that it was a mutual parting of ways or whatever with Washington. To me, it was a legitimate firing. Dan Quinn is starting over. He fired his DC. He fired his OC. He fired some other positional coaches as well. So I think Cliff Kingsbury is really gifted when it comes to having an offensive scheme that's his own and being able to put his own spin on it, and also developing young quarterbacks. But he hasn't shown that he's able to maintain that high level of success.
Yeah, last time had just under a 500 record as well with Arizona as a head coach. Not great. I like him because of his attitude. I like him because of some of the other stuff. He's got a little bit of fire in him. I kind of like that, especially for Tennessee, man. We need sparks around here anywhere we can find them. But he's about middle of the pack, I'd say. If you gave me a top five, he might be my sixth guy outside, maybe the fifth guy. But so he's not like at the bottom of my list, but he's not at the top.
The list keeps getting longer with all the interviews we've had. And there's more to come next week too. Honestly, there's gonna more requests. I'm kind of in the same boat as you though, Jordan. I think he's always amazing in year one, and year two he kind of start taper off. So he doesn't adjust very well, is what it seems like. He just,
Yeah.
All right, we got another former head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. Went 21-30. Familiar name in Titans town, man. Arthur Smith, former Titans offensive coordinator, man, for Pittsburgh right now. I like Arthur Smith, but I'm not sure if he's a leader. I'm not sure if he's the guy to lead us to the next hopefully playoff run and successful Titans team here in Tennessee. I like him a lot, but
it feels like it would be a bit underwhelming, right? Because he was an awesome offensive coordinator that no one expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he went to Atlanta, put together 3 straight 7-10 seasons, which isn't bad, by the way, but people cried foul over his utilization over Bijan Robinson, and he really struggled with his quarterback as well. And then, I think what's really interesting is he goes to Pittsburgh. I think he wanted to keep Justin Fields for this season, but they were unable to work out a deal. They get Aaron Rodgers, and anytime Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, he's the one who's calling a lot of the plays, right? He's the one who's calling a lot of the audibles as well. So, what Arthur Smith does as OC, I'm sure, is probably try to put Aaron Rodgers in the best positions possible. There's a big difference between that and then taking over a young team and directing and implementing a system that you want Cam Ward to run without him making those audibles at the line of scrimmage and canning like Aaron Rodgers does every single play. So it's not something that I would be incredibly upset about. But I think there are a lot of other names on the list that I would be more excited about.
Agreed.
He kind of feels like Vrabel light. Like he tries to have that same kind of mindset and attitude as Vrabel has, but he's just not quite that guy because he didn't actually play in the league. But I think he's a better offensive mind than he gets credit for. When you're Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota, which I love Marcus, who's Hawaiian royalty around here, but still, when those are your two quarterbacks, but I do agree he should have been using Bijan more than that because Algier's a great running back. Maybe someone who gets a look at some teams will be a free agent this year, but Bijan is a generational running back. So, did you have another name?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've pretty much got the big ones left, basically.
Jesse Minter is the last guy who hasn't been a head coach.
That's actually the last name I had on the next. Yeah, so I got Jesse Minter, and then Mike McCarthy and John Harbaugh. Those are like the last 3 names I have.
We talking about Garrett? I don't even know what that's worth talking about.
I didn't even think it was worth talking about, man. Honestly, we talked about him briefly. Yeah, he touched. Yeah, Jordan touched on Garrett.
Yeah, but what do you even say about him, right? Like the last time he was coaching was 2019, I think. He did 10 years in Dallas. Like, I don't know. In fact, they asked me about this during my interview today, and I didn't know what to say. Like, I was like, they bring him in for these interviews. These interviews obviously serve their purpose. And then I tried to come up with a purpose for why Jason Garrett was being interviewed, and I had nothing. Like, I didn't know exactly what to say.
And didn't he go to New York and D.C. there, and it was really bad? Like, for a couple years after?
Was it OC?
Yeah, didn't he go OC for Dajani? Yeah. I'm looking at like for 2 years after that. Yeah, and he was
bad. I remember that.
They were like number 31 and 32 ranked offense when he was there those 2 years.
Yes, 2020 and 2021, and it was as forgettable as you're remembering it is. So
no, I'm going to get to him, Double Dog.
But Jesse Minter, dude, he's someone who people have been talking about since like the early portions of the regular season. Like there were people coming out and saying that this is the next like wonderkin guy you want in your building. as a defensive mind. He's only 42 years old, I believe. Of course, he was the Michigan defensive coordinator. Jim Harbaugh brought him over to Los Angeles. And, just using some recency bias, I don't think people realize how good this Chargers defense has been playing over the past few weeks. In fact, I was looking at some of the advanced stats, and when it came to receptions, completion percentage, and passing touchdowns on throws of 15-plus air yards or more, the Chargers' pass defense ranks top 2 in all those categories. Like they're lockdown, no-fly zone. A couple gaffes against the Houston Texans over the holidays, but overall top 2 epic defensive scheme. Jesse Minter's done a tremendous job, and Justin Herbert's kind of just suffering behind an offensive line. But I bring that up because, hey, his name might be thrown around a lot more if that Chargers defense shuts down Drake May in the playoffs. And listen, that might be a possibility because objectively, that Chargers defense is the toughest defense that Drake May has faced all season. It's been a cakewalk through the regular season for New England. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that matchup. But I like Jesse Minter. There's a ton of praise for him behind the scenes when it comes to national pundits and also people that have worked with him at Michigan and during a short tenure in LA. So if the Tennessee Titans hired Jesse Minter, I would definitely be optimistic. But again, I don't know anything about him from the personality aspect, the CEO aspect. Can he be that leader of men that is absolutely required at this level?
Absolutely, yeah. My knowledge on him is very limited, so I just know what I've researched recently.
Somebody the Harbaugh's definitely like they pass him back and forth like he's
he's with the Ravens, the Michigan Ravens, all this stuff.
So I guess there's got to be some kind of respect there. Which who was the name you had after that, Christian?
I think we just have the 2 big ones left. Those are. McCarthy and Harbaugh, the other 2 I have listed. Minter was the last name that I had written down, other than kind of the big. The
Harbaugh,
big 2.
And then I had 2 names that have been mentioned. A third that I like, that haven't actually been scheduled with interviews. But we kind of talked about Harbaugh, but I don't know how much of a real shot we have. Like everyone keeps saying, and it came out today that he wants $20 million a year, $10 million for his coaching staff, and he wants to have control over the 53. That's not going to happen here.
Yeah, probably not. The control of the 53 part's interesting because, what if Mike Borgonzi? I don't know how he would handle that. And let's be real, that was a report, so I don't know. I don't know how much John Harbaugh says. You're giving me full control of the roster, 53-man, everything. Your general manager does nothing. You know what I mean? There's always some kind of partnership there. Obviously, John Harbaugh's going to have a say. No matter where he goes, he's going to have a say with it for sure. But here's the thing. We don't know yet. We just don't know yet because John Harbaugh's using this week to do all of his, data gathering. And next week is when we're going to start finding out stuff about where he's going to interview. So leave the door open for Tennessee. Everyone looks at the New York Giants as the job that he might take. I would agree that if I had to pick one, that's where he's going, is to the Giants. But I'm leaving the door open because I do feel like the Tennessee Titans are an attractive destination. And if he goes through his whole data gathering process and he says, you know what, Tennessee's a team I want to talk to, that would not shock me at all.
I think if I had to pick, I think maybe Atlanta is where he lands. If I pick one, a lot of talent there. I think it's maybe got the most talented team out of all the coaching vacancies. If I'm having a hard time thinking.
Left.
Other than Baltimore, yeah.
But he's not going to Baltimore.
You got to throw that in. But he's not going to Baltimore. But out of all of his options, I think Atlanta's maybe the most talented team. But that's where I would guess maybe he goes. Yeah.
That's the big thing. Is you don't is Penix good? And Kirk Cousins is on obviously the downtrodden of his career.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions with Atlanta. I think they absolutely will be in the quarterback market because Kirk Cousins is going to be moved off of, and then Michael Penix Jr. is coming back from a torn ACL. So his recovery timetable is coming up right against the start of the regular season. And again, they don't have their first-round pick in this draft. That's a big con as well when it comes to trying to do roster building. But you're right in terms of Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts is a free agent, some pieces on defense. So, Atlanta is a more attractive job than people are putting on for sure.
And so you said the last name you had was McCarthy, which
if you want to touch on him, we kind of know what he's about and stuff.
So I'll say this about Mike McCarthy. Like, obviously, he's not the sexiest name in the world. Some people would make allegations that he's more so a bridge gap guy. But I want to see his offense with Cam Ward. You know what I mean? Like, he's worked with a young quarterback like Dak Prescott before, and I want to see some of that downfield passing attack with Cam Ward, because there's been a large conversation just over the past couple of weeks about, what scheme fits Cam Ward the best, what should we be looking for? And it's a loaded debate, a loaded conversation to have. But with what we saw with Mike McCarthy in Dallas, I think would be a fit with Cam Ward. So it's a natural fit, an experienced guy. He's won before. He's worked with some of the best quarterbacks before. He's won a Super Bowl before. It does make a lot of sense. There is still a part of me that's kind of craving that young upside, of course. That's always going to be the case during the coaching search. But I would not be upset with Mike McCarthy being hired. In fact, I would put him in my top 5.
Yeah, he's there for me too. Texas fan says, I don't want to see downfield passing with Cam Ward.
That's what Cam Ward. That's what Cam Ward wants to do, though. You know what I mean? Like, he's not someone who relies on a timing offense with like a 49ers or Dolphins offense. He's someone who wants to push the ball down the field. He wants to go high to low with his reads. Now, can he do that at a high level? That kind of remains to be seen. But he does possess an NFL-ready arm to have that kind of attacking offense. Yep. And you can clearly tell from his tendencies, it's what he wants to do.
Absolutely.
All right, so I have 3 names that haven't been scheduled for interviews, and you can just tell me who you like best, what you think. Clint Kubiak seems like I thought he would get interviewed everywhere. I know he's been in a couple, but he's got the new hot young offensive mind from what he's done with the Seahawks. Anthony Campanelli, who was, I think he came out from under Jeff Hafley, right? And now he's the DC of the Jaguars, really made that defense strong. And then Anthony Weaver, the DC for the Dolphins. I like all 3 of those.
Okay, so there's one that you mentioned that is kind of my crush, actually, that I haven't gotten to talk about yet. So you named a really good one. Clint Kubiak, I thought he was kind of going to be the belle of the ball. He still might be. The Seahawks offense was really interesting because while Sam Darnold's – except you're in Tennessee. Sorry, I saw a comment and you laughed. I was like, what's he talking about? Clint Kubiak, his offense was really interesting because Sam Darnold got a lot of the headlines, but he was not passing the ball much. Like, go back and look at the passing numbers this season. His attempts are way down. They relied on the ground game so much, which is something I love for a young quarterback, hypothetically. So I would like that guy. Anthony Weaver was another one you mentioned. That's someone who I feel like I don't have a lot of information on, but what I will tell you is that there's a lot of love for him behind the scenes. In fact, my hot take is that the Ravens hire him to be head coach. Anthony Weaver coming back to Baltimore, the energy guy who's going to try to reinvigorate Lamar
Motivator for sure.
That's just my random hot take right now. Is my random guess. But Anthony Campanelli, dude, that is someone who I've been looking at. That's someone who's kind of been my sleeper in this entire carousel. I wouldn't name him for the Titans because he's one of the more inexperienced candidates when it comes to this whole carousel. But this is this crazy Italian-American coming from a football family, grew up crushing skulls for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. He has a lot of different experience working with a lot of different capacities, whether it's tight ends in college, linebackers in the NFL. He's worked in a lot of different spots, opposite of Chris Shula, right?
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, too, is like we were talking about Jeff Hafley and his impact on the Packers defense. Statistically, they rank like number 22 in DVOA. They're not anything special, so that's why I'm kind of down on Jeff Hafley. When it comes to Campanelli, you cannot ignore the impact he's had in Jacksonville. He took a bottom 3 defense and took them to number 11 in total defense without much turnover in personnel, by the way. In fact, they swapped CB1s with the Cleveland Browns in the middle of the season with Greg Newsome. He's doing a lot of different things schematically that I like, such as putting Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen on the same side of the defensive line and having these weird read option stunts when it comes to rushing the passer as well, which I absolutely love. So when I look at a head coaching prospect, there's a couple things I look at. Like, one is the personality, like the leadership qualities. I guess that's kind of one and the same thing. And then also the X's and O's part, right? So Mike Vrabel had the whole personality coaching thing, and Mike McDaniel has the other part. I'm thinking Campanelli could have both of those things because he's someone, as you mentioned, studied under Jeff Hafley, Brian Flores, Vic Fangio. So he has this unique I don't want to describe it as exotic, but maybe it is scheme that led to the Jaguars ranking number 2 in the NFL in takeaways this season. Like his impact on the Jaguars was, you can't ignore it. So this is a young guy. If I were maybe another team that weren't the Tennessee Titans coming off a coach who had no experience before in Brian Callahan, I would really want to talk to. Anthony Campanelli, in my opinion, is someone I want to keep an eye on.
Okay.
How was that?
Absolutely, I like it. Yeah, no, I like it. No, it's great, man. We love it.
Sparked something there.
Yeah, you definitely sparked something. I'm glad you brought him up because that's someone I've been looking at recently for sure.
Did you want to do like a top 3, top 5?
Yeah, let's do a top 3 other than Harbaugh. Let's keep him out of it if y'all think that's fair. I think keep him out of it, and we'll go. You want to go first, Andrew?
Yeah, I'll go first. Number 1, and this is predicated on him getting McDaniel, but Robert Saleh, because I do think he's a good leader. If you can get in Saleh and Raheem Morris with him, I like that combination. Shula, and then Stefanski / Hafley / McCarthy.
Cheating.
Yeah, no.
That was a great top 13.
If I had to pick 3, Saleh with those, Shula, Stefanski.
There you go. I will take Kevin Stefanski is definitely in the top 3. This sounds crazy. Is Matt Nagy going to be in my top 3? Maybe.
He's like
yeah. If not Matt Nagy, I would say Mike McCarthy and Robert Saleh would be up there too.
Okay. What you got, Christian?
You actually hit my 3, man. I like Mike McCarthy for just like kind of the safety net, kind of the safe pick. And then the Robert Saleh, like we talked about, especially if you can kind of pair that with the McDaniel coordinator running your offense. And then I like Kevin Stefanski, man. That's kind of my guy. I think he's got a lot of unfair criticism, and I like that he's 2-time coach of the year, and I like what he's done with what he's been given, man, with that disaster of a franchise. So yeah, I think Stefanski's my number 1 guy.
Somebody just texted me. He said, "I won't let me comment." Solid McCarthy McDaniels. He said, "Won't let me comment," but that's it. Real quick.
Yeah, I will say, maybe I should have Mike McDaniel in my top 3. I guess I forgot that. I'm just way too
He's definitely top of my OC list,
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Real quick, we'll just hit game, so we can.
That's cool.
We've been going longer than I thought we were, but we'll just go in order. They're coming up. First game is Rams Panthers. I know you got the Panthers in this one.
Yeah,
I'm Rams all day, man. I got Rams going to the Super Bowl, so
31-17 Rams. What I got? Packers Bears. This is cool. I like this one.
Give me Chicago. Bears winning.
Bears. I got the Packers, man, just out of sheer desire. I guess I feel like the Bears would probably have the better chance, but
I
want the Packers to win.
Packers the last 6 weeks, or the Packers from the first 6 weeks? That's
their quarterback hasn't played
playing?
a month, right? Jordan, I'm saying he hasn't played in a month though. He's coming back from his concussion.
He is coming back. Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna play.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knows what's up and down, but he's gonna play.
This is my favorite game of the weekend. Bills Jags.
That's my favorite game of the weekend too. People think it's one of the worst games, and I'm like, whoever wins this game might be the sleeper in the AFC.
Yeah.
And I'm riding with the hottest team in the NFL right now. I'm riding with the Jacksonville Jaguars because people don't talk about this. The Bills have a very clear Achilles heel that no one's talking about. They have the worst rush defense in the playoffs by any team. It's been absolutely pathetic. So Josh Allen's a unicorn. He doesn't have many weapons to work with. He has James Cook, who I think he won the rushing title, right? The first Bills player since 1976 with O.J. Simpson. That's cool and all, but guess what? They're facing the number 1 rush defense in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So give me Jacksonville to roll Duval County.
Who you got, Christian?
Gosh, man, I got to pick the Bills, man, because that's my Super Bowl, man. I've got Rams, Bills, and Super Bowl, dude. I'm hoping this is Josh Allen's year. Obviously, I'm a Titans fan, but I like Josh Allen. Want to go get one.
I think that's where I'm at. I do like James Cook. He might not be the killer J. Simpson is. But
oh no.
But I do like James Cook a lot. The way Josh Allen performs in the playoffs, and he finally doesn't have Mahomes standing in his way. Like, this is your year, dude. I know this might be the worst team you've had, but he's the kind of guy who could put a team on his back for sure. So I do like whoever wins this game to make it the AFC Championship at very least.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with the Bills. Then we got the 49ers and the Eagles.
Oh.
I'm okay taking the 49ers plus 4.5, but I'm going to take the Eagles to win the game. Win a close game. I understand they're the most Jekyll and Hyde team in the NFL right now, but I would say that at home against a really struggling 49ers defense, I'm leaning towards Philly.
Okay. What you got?
Yeah, I got to piggyback on that Philly and that offense, man. Saquon Barkley, man. That's my guy.
Yeah, I do like Saquon. This is a toss-up for me. I'm going to go with the 49ers. That defense with Philadelphia is really, really good. But I'm going to put my trust in Shanahan. And I just don't trust. I know he won the Super Bowl last year, but he just hasn't been the same quarterback this year. And Hurts hasn't. And Barkley hasn't been the same running back. He's had his moments, but he hasn't been that guy. So I'm going to go with the 49ers just because I like Shanahan a lot. I would love to. It's going to be crazy if they do win this game, and then Fred Warner comes back next week after the injury he suffered this year.
I don't know. I don't know how that's possible. It's crazy.
You saw him doing like the kickboxing shit like 3 weeks ago, right? Like, what is going on?
I don't know. I thought his ankle, flew into the crowd in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that was wild.
Okay, so you were speaking on this one earlier. Chargers Patriots. You like Minter in this?
Yeah, I lean like maybe I'll take the points if it's at 3.5, 4 with the Chargers. That's not going to be like a best bet for me, but I cannot in good faith pick a Chargers team to win a first-round upset with that offensive line. I saw a stat from PFF saying that this would be the worst or the lowest graded offensive line to win a playoff game since like 2011. So the Patriots are not battle-tested. There's no doubt about it, but they're good enough to beat the Chargers.
Okay. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going Patriots as well, man. Yeah, and I'll get to some more stuff in my final bite, man.
Yeah, I think the Patriots are going to win. It's really just the offensive line. 'Cause I think, talk about Jekyll and Hyde, I feel like the Chargers are kind of Jekyll and Hyde as well. And I think it's all about that offensive line. If Herbert is able to overcome the things and get out of the pocket and get moving, they do better. I'm going to go with the Patriots too. And then last game of the week is the Texans and the Steelers.
The final score is going to be 13-10. And that might be generous. I don't know what side I like in this because it wouldn't shock me if Aaron Rodgers kind of finds some juice with DK Metcalf returning. And I understand they're not going to drop a lot of points on this Texans defense, but I got questions about the Texans offense. You know what I mean? Like CJ Stroud's been inconsistent all year, and the Steelers have a pretty bad pass defense. I get that, but that doesn't guarantee that CJ Stroud and Nico Collins are going to be able to take advantage of their chances deep. And Woody Marks and the rushing attack are not anything special either. So if this is a low-scoring game, like it wouldn't shock me if Aaron Rodgers kind of pulled some magic out, but I got to lean towards the Texans objectively.
Hey, you say, like Jordy, you just pick the Texans, dude. Who you got, Christian?
Man, I'm hoping Aaron Rodgers pulls out a little bit of magic, man. I enjoy watching A-Rod in the playoffs. I'm a fan. I'm not one of his detractors. I hope we get to see another one good final run out of A-Rod, man. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I'm kind of picking with my heart here on a lot of these games. I can't in good faith pick the deadgum Texans or the Jags, man, so I ain't going to do it. Go Steelers.
That's hilarious. I look at these teams and there's three very average units on this field and one really, really great unit. And I'm going to go with that one really, really great unit, and that's the Texans defense. So I think, it's going to be a low scoring game. I feel like 6-3 Texans or something like that. Because they have a horrible offense and a great defense. So That's
Absolutely.
what I've got. So yeah, I agree. It could go the other way just because it's going to be so low scoring, and all Aaron Rodgers has to do is reach back clock one time to go make a play.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do on our pro show. We do a final bite, which is our last words before leaving. So we're gonna do that real quick. What you got for a final bite, Christian?
Man, I just want to offer my deepest and sincerest apologies to Mike Vrabel. What an excellent season he's had with the Patriots and stuff. And I wasn't one of the people that was like crapping all over him. I just felt like in the situation it was, and I still feel this way. So I think we made the right decision with the situation it was and how everything was going here currently. But yeah, man, just good on him. Congratulations on a great season, man. I want to see him do well. I like Mike Vrabel. And my apologies to you on behalf of Titans fans that crapped all over you, man, because you gave us some of our best years in recent time.
Yeah, I love Vrabel, but I got to agree with you. Like, it was time to go, but I can still have love for him out the door. My final point is going to be to the fans that are like freaking out every time an interview is scheduled. Like Jordan said, it's gathering information constantly. Just because they're interviewing Jason Garrett does not put him at the top of the list. They're interviewing 19 people, okay? And he could probably fall at 19 on that list. But
Absolutely.
Like, what are we doing? Why are we interviewing Jason Garrett? Not that big a deal. It's okay. That's all I got. You got anything else for us, Jordan? Got anything they want us to? Got any articles they want to come read or anything?
My final word is thank you guys for having me on the show. It was a lot of fun chopping it up and talking ball. The coaching searches are almost more fun to talk about than NFL football itself sometimes. You know what I mean? The offseason can be just as dramatic. What am I doing in the future? I'm not sure. I think next week I'll be sitting down with Cooper Manning.
Yeah.
Okay. Our training's dad. So I'm excited to talk to him about, our young quarterbacks being developed correctly these days. Like, and I'm really interested to dive through Arch's story too. Like, how'd you guys handle the hype last year and the disappointment through the early portions of the year? And, what can he be in the future? So excited to chop it up with him and kind of pick his brain about where exactly the quarterback position is going these days.
That's awesome. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, that's great, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it'll be a good read, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You want to take us out?
Yeah, just want to shout out again CPN Network, all the other podcasts, especially our AFC South Brethrens, this AFC South show. Y'all catch them as well this week. Yeah, and everybody stay frosty out there, man. We're going to have all that offseason talk for you, draft and mock drafts coming up soon. So we'll be talking about all of it, man.
All right. On that note, check, please. I think Jordan's buying this time.
This one's on Jordan.